Okay, are you ready for the abundant, expansive, beautiful fucking life that you know is possible for you? If you find yourself stuck or at a plateau, you've tried everything. You've tried the manifestation practices. You've tried working out, doing everything perfectly, getting that dream body, all of these things to try to finally arrive at the life that is expansive, that's beautiful, that's magnetic, all of these things. If you've tried it all and yet you're still finding yourself in a plateau, then this is the little class I have for you because there's one thing that you need to do in order to break that glass ceiling and get that abundant life that you know is there for you. So let's break that fucking glass ceiling and get you the life that you actually want. Okay, so what is the glass ceiling? This is you here, okay? Survival mind conditioning, victimhood, narration, the stories that you are telling yourself. If you are trying to find expansion through this little box, through your stories, through the things that you're telling yourself, you will continue to hit the glass ceiling and not get expansion. To no fault of your own, you've been living through this perspective that you are one with your physical self, your story, this identity that you've been clinging to since the day you were born. It's to no fault of your own. There's no judgment here. There's no shame. This is how we've all been living our lives. So events have culminated. You've gone through your life. You've created this identity around yourself, and you've been living from this very limited viewpoint that you are one with your physical body. So, as long as you try to manifest from this perspective, to try to reach abundance from this perspective, you're going to be limited to your story and the things within your story. So, those limitations that keep running in your mind become true. Because when you live from this limited perspective of who you are, this physical body, this physical entity, then you are limited to these stories, these limitations that you've set for yourself, that the other stories in your world have set for you as well. I'm talking your parents, your family, your social circle, culture at large. These looming stories are creating a life that is limited. So when you ask your friends, your parents, all of these people, oh, what should I do? Or how do I reach an abundant mindset or lifestyle? They're always going to be living from their perspective, from their story, and you're further entrenched in the story. So, why do I know this is true? Why do I know that this is the thing that's holding you back? Because I was living from my story. I was living from my very limited vantage point and thinking that was going to unfold in a certain way, that I was limited to this story. And when I lived from that perspective, it's true. I was limited. I tried to get the partner, I tried to get the money or the job, and it was falling flat for me. Nothing was quite working out. I had that feeling that I wanted more for myself, and yet I couldn't get it. Why couldn't I get it? Because I was living from this very limited vantage point. And so when I finally saw my story, I was in Thailand. I went to India, Nepal, and Thailand for 5 months, and I was outside of my comfort zone. And then I did Vipassana meditation, which is 10 hours of meditation a day for 10 days. That's what I did. And I found my story there, playing on a loop in my mind, all of the things that I wish I did, all of the things that I wish would have happened for me, all of the things that I wish could happen in my worlds that weren't happening. And finally, when I witnessed that story, I saw what a limitation it was. I saw that it wasn't true. I was living in the past, allowing the past to unfold and project into my future and into my present. And I saw it for the fucking lie that it was, that these are all just fabrications of the mind. And when I stepped out of that story, I knew that something else was possible for me. Anything was possible for me. And I said, you know what? I want to work for myself. I want freedom. I want time to do whatever the fuck I want. That's what I want. I'm going to open a cocktail bar. I was 23 at the time. I didn't know anything. I told my sister, I want to open a bar. We should do this together, where it's going to be called Velveteen Rabbit. It's going to have velvet furniture, craft cocktails. It's going to be an experience. We're going to do this together. She was totally on board. I left Thailand. I came back to the United States. No one believed me because they're all living in their story, right? And I said, no, I'm going to fucking do this. Anything is possible. I'm going to make this happen. And we were both on board with this. 2 years later, we opened Velveteen Rabbit. I hadn't bartended a day in my life. No one would hire me. I was 25 when we opened. It made it to the New York Times, the Wall Street Journal, Forbes, Esquire, LA Times, Imbibe, Bon Appetit, all of these major publications. Best bar in Las Vegas. We won the award, one of the top 300 bars in the world. And it's now a 7-figure company. I work a few hours a week. This is what I've created for myself through stepping out of my story. After we opened a few years later, I really wanted to write a book. Stepped out of my story again, wrote that book in 6 months. Stepped out of the story again and created a realm of being so other people can step out of their stories. This is what I've created. So let me tell you about the illusion of the physical world, where we are now, the illusion of separation. So as soon as you entered the world, you were in a separate body, right? The illusion of the physical world as your physical self. And you began constructing this narrative, the conditioning of the physical world, that you are separate from other people, that you are separate from the universe. And when you're living from this mode of separation, that you are a separate being here, you want desperately to be one. It is the thing that is moving through you. You know somewhere deep down that this is an illusion. And so you're trying to reach that expansion. You're trying to be one with the world around you, but you can't reach it through the separation of the physical self, the mentality that you are separate, the illusion of your identity, but your physical self. It wants to escape death. Your physical self is trying desperately to be permanent, to escape death. And so how does it do this? By clinging to identity, by clinging to story, by clinging to victimhood, to these very, very convincing narratives, right? That you are permanent in this body and it's an illusion. I know it seems very obvious, right? No, I'm in a physical world. I'm pretty sure I'm in my body. I'm pretty sure all the things that happened to me happened to me. And yes, they did happen to you. And yes, this physical world presents as separation, but there's something else that you need to connect to in order to reach expansion, to expand your consciousness, to be aware, to be awake, to be fully alive in this experience of the physical world. And so I'm not saying, oh, okay, well, you're not in your physical body. I'm not saying that. I'm saying we're going to connect with something larger than your physical body, more present, beyond death. That one thing that you're going to connect with, this presence that is there with you, this presence that is connecting with me here beyond the words. It's not about the words, right? We're connecting here through this expansion that we know is there for us. That's here, that's always been here. This presence that existed before this body and will continue to exist beyond this body after your death. This presence here. This is the expansion that is going to drive you forward into freedom, into abundance, into the expansive life that you know is there for you. Oneness, the presence of the eternal self, the presence that is beyond the words, beyond the thoughts, that is beyond the story of separation. That is the thing that breaks the glass ceiling. When you live from the perspective of this expansion, anything is possible. 7 figures, the abundant life, the dream partner, the book, anything that is possible is there when you live from the state of your presence, from the expansion, the awakeness that is beyond the words. And it's there for you. If you are a human being watching this video now, that presence is there for you and it can guide you because it's beyond the story. and it knows the most abundant life that is here for you in this experience of this physical self, because this physical self will die, is going to die, could die at any moment. And it knows the things that you're here to experience in this physical life. It's not from the perspective of the story. It's beyond the story. It's pure possibility. So how do you get there? How do you get to that expansive mindset, that expansive presence that is there for you? How do you get there? The first step is to witness your story, your victimhood, me, the identity, because it's a lie. It's a falsehood. And when you witness your story, all of the things, the excuses that are holding you back, when you finally witness it and see through it, that is the first step to breaking the glass ceiling. The next step, number 2, is to connect with that eternal presence, that state of awareness, that expanded consciousness that is always there with you. And when you live from this perspective of the eternal present, anything is possible. So 2 steps. 1 is seeing through your story, watching it come up, seeing the story, the narration that's holding you back. The second thing, or actually it's the first thing, is becoming one with that physical present. So as you're present throughout the day, seeing the enriching life that is here now for you. When you connect fully to your experience, to this abundance, anything is possible. Your viewpoint, your vantage point expands, and you're here now, available for abundance. If you want a step-by-step guide on how to do this, I have created something that allows you to experience this presence and allows you to see through your story so that you can finally, at last, live the life that's actually meant for you, the abundant, expansive life that you know is possible, that's itching for you to finally take hold of it. Because I've done it, and so can you. There's nothing special about my life, okay? All I did was step out of my story. All I did was step out of that narration, connect with that abundance, that awareness, and live my life from that perspective. And everything that I wanted was there for me, and it's there for you too. So if you're ready to step into that abundance, take my experience, this thing that will allow you to finally be free. And if you're ready, and I know you are, make the investment in yourself. It's $111. Make that choice to finally be free, to live abundantly, to be in that expansive mindset that allows anything that you want to come into viewpoint, and you can step into aligned action and make it happen. Thank you so much for being here with me now. I know that that expansion is there for you. I know that it's ready for you to just grab hold of it, live it, and be true to it. That is your truth. The truth of your expansion, of that aliveness, of that expansion, that truth that is you beyond the story, here now, that presence that will guide you forward, the truth of who you are. So take that step, take that chance, and finally live the life that is meant for you. Thank you so much for joining me here. I'm so excited for you. I know this is possible for you. Just make that investment in yourself and be free. Finally.